Well, welcome back to Steve's Garage. Here we are working again on our 1999 Yamaha Vstar. This is a 99 1100 Vstar, and was not running for 6 years, and we're trying to get it back to life, and it's running now. However, the rear cylinder is not running well at low RPMs, so it's mostly idling off the front cylinder, and when we crack the throttle half open and the main jet kicks in, then the rear cylinder will start pumping power. So we seem to have a problem probably with our pilot jet, and one of the problems on these old Yamahas is they have an air induction system that sometimes causes problems with the rear or the cylinders, and we've already tried blocking that off, and that didn't seem to cure the problem. We still have no power on the rear cylinder at low speed, and we get backfire on deceleration. So we're going to take a look at the carburetors again and clean up that pilot jet, and also see if we can get the air screw adjustment on the pilot jet, get access to that. On these old Yamaha carburetors, and it's true on a lot of these Mikuni carburetors. I've done the same thing with Honda carburetors. On the bottom of this one, hidden under this little brass cap, you can get it right here on this one, and back over here on this carburetor. Underneath that little brass cap is an adjustable pilot screw, but in the factory they block it off so that you can't mess with it. But sometimes when somebody has maybe modified the exhaust system or done some kind of modified the intake system, it throws the air mixture balance off. And so the solution is we're going to drill out these little caps and see if we can get access to that air mixture screw. So let me get out my tools and see what we can do to fix that. So to drill out that plug, I used a 1/8 bit and to drill a pilot hole. There's already a tiny little pilot hole in the brass plug, and then I used a 15/64 that I sharpened down to where it's fairly flat, so it's not going to dig too deep. You got to be careful when you're drilling into this hole. Be careful that you don't drill into that pilot screw, but you can see it down there. It takes a flathead screwdriver, and I already checked it out. It turned 3 1/4 turns to seat, so it was already pretty well out there. And one of the difficult things with this pilot screw, where it's located, it's going to be really difficult to adjust while the carburetors are on the motorcycle. So I'm going to take it all apart, clean it up really good, put it back together, and maybe I'll put an extension on this screw so that I'll have some way to grip it when it's on the motorcycle. But it's a tough one to get at. If you've got big hands like I do, you're not going to be able to get in there unless you have a an extension on the screw and maybe a piece of tubing or something that you can get a hold of. So we're going to work on that, but in the meantime I'm going to take off the float bowl, take out the pilot jet, and clean it out really good, maybe even drill it out a little larger, because the problem with this engine, this one cylinder, is running too lean at low speeds, which indicates it's not getting enough fuel. So we'll make some adjustments and see if we can get that fixed. So here's what the pilot screw looks like when you dig it out. It's not very big, but it can have a fairly big effect on how your motorcycle runs. So we'll do some more cleaning and see if we can get it running again. And here's another tricky part to this pilot jet mixture screw. In the bottom of the hole is a very small O-ring and a small brass washer. So when you put it back together, you be real careful to get those on there correctly. So the brass washer would go on the pilot screw first, and then the O-ring would slip onto that, and then you carefully fit the whole assembly back into the hole and screw it in and make your adjustments. So just be careful to get that back together correctly. Okay, so we've got it back together now, and you see that brass knob there sticking out of the bottom of the carburetor. That's a brass extension that I soldered onto that air mixture screw. So now I can get in there and make an adjustment while the carburetors are on the motorcycle. So we did clean out all the jets, and I used a very small numbered drill to actually enlarge the pilot jet a little bit. And motorcycle now idles and runs on both cylinders. So all of that did manage to correct the problem. So the bike is running correctly now, and I think we've accomplished everything that we set out to do on this particular motorcycle. So just to review what we've done here with this machine, because it's set unused for 6 or 7 years, we spent a lot of time flushing and cleaning out the fuel tank, fixing the fuel cap that had been stuck so it wouldn't unlock. Had to replace the fuel petcock here with an aftermarket petcock. It's a little stiff, but it works. Put on new tires and balanced the new tires. We did a lot of chrome polish to bring the chrome back to life, and the chrome is actually looking pretty good. It held up pretty well in the dry desert weather. We repainted the rear fender because that was all sun damaged. Replaced the oil filter and changed the oil. Changed the brake fluid. And we did extensive polishing on the windshield, which was opaque. You could not even see through the windshield when we got the bike, but we've got it at least so you can see through it now. And then, of course, we did a lot of carburetor cleaning, and finally got the carburetors working right, and the bike is running normal as it should. We also put on these hard saddlebags. The old leather ones were completely rotten, So we got these nice hard bags that match the paint pretty closely, so they look pretty good on this bike. Still working a little bit on the leather. The bike came with a nice Mustang seat. Unfortunately, the sun and weather got to the leather quite a bit, but it's still usable, still pretty comfortable ride. Oh, and one more thing we did. We were missing a chrome cover on the left side of the bike, so just to mess with some Harley people, we found this chrome horn cover from a Harley Davidson, and we added that to the left side to cover the carburetors here. So it gives a more finished look to the left side of the engine. So all in all, it's been a fun project for me and my assistant Baxter here to bring this old Yamaha back to life.